Hi guys, so this is topic one, lesson two, example one. I know last year you may have gotten off to, or you may not have been able to get to equations in seventh grade. So I'm going to show you a couple things on how to solve these equations because you're going to be asked, obviously, to solve more than one step, multi-step equations here in topic one, lesson two. So here you see the equation: 2 times the quantity x plus 4 divided by 3 minus 8 equals 32. So what you want to make sure of every single time you solve an equation is that you have both sides of this simplified. This is simplified already, 32. The number 32 is just 32. It's already done. We can't do anything else at 32. However, this side, we want to make sure on this side that all we have left over here is a variable and a constant. When we say variable, we mean a number that is attached to a letter. In this case, you can see our variable is the letter x. And a constant just means that it is a number. So I will show you how you can do this. There's not only one way to do this, there's more than one way, but I'll show you the way that I would typically solve this to make it as easy as we can. Okay, so when you heard me read this, you heard me say that this was minus 8. So in order to get rid of minus 8, we have to do the opposite operation. So instead of subtracting, we're going to add. But if we add 8 to one side, we have to add it to the other side. Therefore, that is the reason why we have the equal sign, because whatever this side is, it also has to be the same thing on that side. So the first thing we're going to do in this equation is we're going to add 8 to both sides just to get rid of it. That's not the only thing we can do, but we'd have to remember you're just using what's called inverse operations. So here you're going to see me add 8 to both sides. There's how you do that. These two things, negative 8 and positive 8, you may have heard me talk about that in some previous lessons. If you have 8 negatives and 8 positives, they cancel each other out. Therefore, that's gone. So the only thing that is left on this side is now this. And if we calculate that side, 32 plus 8, we get this. Now, this side is still simplified. Although we added some things to it, it's still simplified. This side, however, is not simplified yet because we still don't have that variable constant or possibly just a constant like this one is over here. So here's what we have to do next. And this is the easiest thing to do this is how I would solve this. Since side is completely divided by 3, we're going to multiply both sides by 3 in order to eliminate the 3. So I'm just going to show you real quick how to do that. Remember that the number 3 over 1 is the same as 3. So if I multiply this side by 3 and I multiply this side by 3, here's what actually happens. This 3 and this 3 in multiplication of fractions, you're allowed to simplify before you do the problem. And you also note that anything, even this expression right here, 2 times the quantity x plus 4 over 1, will always be itself. So this entire side now is just going to be 2 times the quantity x plus 4 because we've eliminated the 3 by multiplying by it. And this side is now going to be 40 times 3. The fast way to do that multiplication, anytime you have a 0 at the end of a number, is put the 0 down and do 3 times 4 is 12. So this is 120. I just try to show you some math tricks to be faster as we move. Now, you may think, hey, this is now simplified. It's not quite simplified yet. And the reason it's not simplified yet is because you have to distribute. I know you did a lot of distribution in 6th grade and 7th grade. This is not simplified because it's not a variable and a constant. Okay, we still don't have just a variable and a constant. You'll see what that is here in a second. So we have to distribute this to both because this is a multiplication problem. Anytime you see parentheses, it's multiplying. So this is 2x, and 2 times 4 is 8. And we don't have to do that to this side over here because we didn't change it. We just simplified it by putting everything together. So here we have the simplified version. You have a variable and a constant, and over here you just simply have a constant. You could also have a variable and a constant over there, but this is what you're trying to get all your equations down to, because now once you hit that point, this is something that you may have seen either in 6th grade or 7th grade. So we want to get the variable all by itself. So if I get the variable all by itself, I have to get rid of positive 8. So in order to get rid of positive 8 or plus 8, I have to subtract 8 or put a negative 8. So this side will now say 2x plus 8 minus 8 equals 120 minus 8. And this side will be 2x equals 112. Okay, and once we do that, then we simplify it, and we will get 102x equals 112. And in order to get rid of the 2 from both sides, we would divide both sides by 2. This is multiplication. 2 times x, when it's stuck together, means multiply. So we have to do the opposite operation, or the inverse operation, which means we have to divide both sides by 2. So when we divide those both sides by 2, 2 divided by 2 leaves us with x. And that is 1x, and that is part of invisible math that we've been talking about. If you ever see just an x there, we know that there is 1x. That is how we could write it, but since in math class we'd like to simplify it all times, we keep that simplified. So we don't write the 1x, we only write x. That's part of invisible math that you see on our walls here whenever you are at school. And if you take 112 and you divide it by 2, here's a little trick for doing that. If you don't want to use a calculator, 100 divided by 2 is 50, and 12 divided by 2 is 6, so 50 plus 6 is 56. So x equals 56. I know that's a big one to hit you with right off the bat, but this is what we have to take care of in algebra class, and this is the reason I told you that you're going to need to make sure you have a notebook, and that notebook's going to get filled up by some of these equations. Real simple for equations. Always make sure you try to get both sides simplified. That's your number one goal, is to simplify both sides. You may have to take some things away, like we took away the 8. You may have to add some things. You may have to multiply things. You may have to divide things. In this case, we had to add 8 to both sides. We had to multiply both sides by the 3. And then we had to simplify by doing the distributive property. And then we got all the way down to our division, and we figured that x equals 56. Now, in all equations, you can never miss an equation, because if you take the number 56 and you place that number back in your original equation, you should have something that equals. Now, remember I said we have to simplify these down? You can put 56 back in here and solve this and make sure both sides are equal. But when I circled this down here, I put a box around this down here, here's why I did that. Because once you get to this, you can look down here to make things make your life easy. So if I have 2 times 56, 2 times 56 is 112. And then I add 8, I'll get 120, which means 120 equals 120, which means we found the correct solution to this equation. So this is why simplifying to both sides, and simplifying it to a variable and a constant on each side, is worth what you need to do with it. That's what you need to do, because now you can check things really quickly. I could again put 56 back up in here, but why do 56 plus 4? 56 plus 4 is equal to 60. 60 times 2 is 120. 120 divided by 3 is 40. 40 minus the 8 that's there equals 32. So it still works, but do you see how much more I had to do while I was up there? It's just more simple if we go to this every time. I don't expect you to know all of this stuff. This is the first time we've hit an equation this year, and it just happens to be in topic 1. We're going to work on more equations. We're going to work on a lot of equations. Don't panic while you're doing them. Don't worry about, am I getting this correct or not? I will help you. Even if we have to have a Google Meet, or if you're here in class, or if you're stuck on something, send me an email. I can create a video for you to show you how to possibly, or help you to answer. I don't want to give you everything, because obviously then your brain won't work. Good luck. Next up will be example 2.